You've returned to my corner of darkness beneath these twisted branches. Tonight, we walk together into that dead forest, where Baal waits in the shadows, and Pazuzu rides the bitter wind through rotting leaves. There is power in knowing their names. Aman slumbers deep within the roots below us.
They're watching you, not in your house, but close enough to see every move. A normal day at Dead Forest Research begins with coffee and a checklist. You arrive at your cubicle, plug in the monitors that display the containment cells where Baal, Pazuzu, and Amun reside. The three demons have been silent for weeks now, their cells' cameras showing only darkness and stillness. But you can't shake the feeling that something is different about them today. Something that makes your skin crawl. Why won't they turn on the lights? Number 1 on our list is Baal. At first, we thought it was just an urban legend, a story to scare kids who wandered too deep into Dead Forest after dark. But then, the disappearances started. I worked as night security at the old logging camp on the forest's edge. The pay was terrible, but I needed the money. My first week was quiet. Nothing but owls and the occasional rustle of small animals in the underbrush. But then, the whispers began. Soft, wet sounds echoing between the blackened trees. I told myself it was just wind, but the wind doesn't whisper names you don't recognize, and it doesn't make your skin crawl with the certainty that something is watching from the dark spaces where light can't reach. I started bringing a flashlight and extra batteries. The beam cut only so far through the oppressive night before dissolving into inky nothingness. On my fourth night, I thought I saw movement at the edge of the trees, a shape too tall for any living creature. When I swung the light toward it, there was nothing there. That is when I heard the breathing, not from the woods, but right behind me, hot air on the back of my neck, as something invisible pressed against my body. The next morning, I found claw marks in the dirt outside my shack, too large to be animal, and arranged in a pattern no beast could make. The whispers grew louder each night, until they became a constant murmur just below hearing. My food started going bad before it was opened. The water tasted metallic, and every time I closed my eyes, I felt something brush against my face, soft as moth wings but colder than the grave. I knew then that Baal wasn't just watching from the trees anymore. It had moved into the camp itself, and all those who stayed too long would join it in whatever unholy place it called home. On my last night, I didn't run when I heard the footsteps circling closer behind me. Instead, I turned toward the woods and said its name out loud for the first time. The whispering stopped immediately. There was a long pause before something answered from within the darkest part of the forest, not with words, but with a sound that curled your soul inward like a burning leaf. Then the trees themselves seemed to lean closer as Baal began to walk toward me through the ruins of what used to be just another night in Dead Forest. I ran then, screaming into the oppressive dark until my voice gave out, and all that remained was my footfalls on decaying leaves, and the sound of something else following close behind, its steps unnaturally silent. They found my shack empty the next morning. My bed was still warm where someone had been lying in it only minutes before. The door stood wide open, leading out into a forest that seemed somehow larger than when I'd arrived, full of new shadows and wrong angles I couldn't remember seeing before. But the most disturbing thing wasn't what they found missing from my shack. It was what they discovered, written in fresh blood on my mirror. It is always watching.
You've glimpsed the dark hunger of Baal, but such appetites are merely a taste. Subscribe to feast upon more forbidden knowledge. Like this offering as tribute to Old Father Longlegs, and prepare for revelations that will unravel your sanity.
Number 2 on our list is Pazuzu. It is not just a name from some ancient text. It watches you right now, its eyes unseen but ever present. In the dead forest, where the trees are blackened and twisted like burned fingers reaching for the sky, people disappear without a trace, but they're not gone. They're being watched. I know, because I was one of them. The first night in the cabin, I felt it before I saw anything. A pressure on my skin, as if unseen hands were tracing lines down my back. The air grew thick and heavy, carrying an odor of sulfur and decay that clung to everything like oil. In the dead forest, Pazuzu's presence is inescapable. Shadows move. When you aren't looking, your name echoes from distant trees, even when no one else is there. And then, one morning, you wake up and find claw marks on your door that weren't there before. It is always watching, always waiting. In the quiet moments between heartbeats, I'd catch glimpses of a dark shape just beyond the edge of vision, a distant figure with too many arms and eyes like burning coals. But when I turned to look directly at it, nothing, just empty space where something should have been. And then came the night. It finally spoke to me. The voice was like broken glass grinding against stone, whispering my name from every corner of the cabin. Come closer, it rasped. And even though every fiber of my being screamed in terror, I felt myself stepping forward toward that unseen presence. And then there was silence. Number 3 on our list is Amon. He doesn't need your fear. He feeds on your certainty that he is not real. The forest whispers his name as you walk deeper, the leaves rustling in patterns too complex to be natural. Your watch stops at exactly 3:17 a.m. every night, this month. No matter what time you set it, you find the old cabin where the first disappearances happen. Inside, dust covers everything but the altar, a rough stone slab stained darker than dirt. You try not to notice how your reflection in a shattered mirror smiles when you don't. Then you hear footsteps behind you that never quite catch up. The door slams shut on its own. A single candle flickers to life on the altar, revealing something carved into the wood below. Ammon watches. The temperature drops so fast your breath fogs the air. You run for the window, but it has been boarded over from the outside with thick planks you don't remember seeing before. You are alone in the cabin, or are you? A distant figure stands at the edge of the trees, perfectly still, watching through the cracks between the boards. It moves only when you aren't looking directly at it, shifting position like a shadow that knows it is being watched back. You can feel his presence pressing against your skin, heavy and cold. The candle flame gutters out with a wet sound, plunging the cabin into absolute darkness, except for thin slivers of moonlight through the boarded window. That is when you realize the footsteps have stopped. Whatever was behind you isn't there anymore. It is standing right next to you now, breathing slowly against your neck. The planks suddenly tear away from the outside, with a sound like ripping flesh. Moonlight floods in, and for one terrible second, you see it, his form filling the window frame entirely. The candle relights itself behind him, casting his shadow across the room onto every wall at once. And then he steps forward into the light of that single flame. He doesn't look like anything from nightmares. He looks ordinary, almost bored by your fear. His hand reaches out slowly, as if to touch your face. You can't move, can't breathe. He smiles and whispers, "Did you think I wouldn't come?" The last thing I remember before everything went dark was that candle flickering to life on its own. The smell of sulfur filled the cabin, thick and choking. Something cold brushed against my neck, then clamped down hard as razor. Sharp teeth tore into flesh. I woke up in the dead forest, dawn light filtering through blackened trees. My throat ached where something had been feeding on me. When I looked at my hands, the nails were too long and curved like claws. A voice that wasn't mine whispered from somewhere deep inside. We're hungry again.
Now you know of Baal, Pazuzu, and Amun. Subscribe to Old Father Longlegs. Unless you want them to come whispering in the dark tonight. Like this video. Or perhaps they'll add your name to their scrolls. Sleep well, little lambs.